Welcome to the official Scottish Rugby Podcast, together with Royal Bank of Scotland. We're joined today by Scotland Assistant Coach Mike Blair ahead of the test match against Italy at the weekend. Good sessions today, guys.
Mike?
Yeah, really good session. So Monday session, it's usually a little bit lighter, players coming back, playing at the weekend, and then we build into the week. So a little bit about our structure, our style, and some set plays that we're going to use against Italy as well. So good session. Everyone looked keen and up for it.
We'll have a good dig into the Scotland sessions and the game coming up this weekend a wee bit later on. Chris, are you good? Good weekend?
Yeah, obviously without internationals, still watched a lot of rugby.
Of course you did.
As you do. And covered a few games, and then obviously the lads were training this afternoon. The 20s were in this morning, so they got a good session. They go to Italy on Wednesday evening, I think. They're Thursday, then play Friday, so they're looking pretty sharp, building the performance against England and hopefully get a win on the road.
You must watch more rugby than I do.
Like
you watch the women's game, you watch the age group game,
yeah.
But like we're more focused, I guess, on the men's stuff to start with, and then you watch the professional games and watch our guys who are involved. But like you'll watch that plus all the other stuff as well.
Because you work, like my role kind of works across all squads, so you have to kind of have a handle on the national team, the pro teams, the age group teams, the women's teams. I do a bit with the sevens as well when they're in camp. So you almost have to have maybe a less detailed view of more things, if that makes sense, whereas you need a really detailed view on the kind of specific things, I'd imagine. So see most of it. It's you can't obviously go to everything live or see everything live. Super 6 as well, we'll try and cover off, although I didn't get to a game this weekend and that, but we'll have a look at the results a wee bit later on. So yeah, I enjoy it really. But although you did text me during the Glasgow game instead of you watching the game,
and you weren't.
And I wasn't. No,
you're in the cinema.
I was at the cinema watching Sonic the Hedgehog with the farmer.
And in contrast, Al watches no rugby but still comments on
it.
I don't watch anywhere near the rugby that Mossy watches. I do watch some of the rugby, undoubtedly.
Just the lineouts, though.
Just lineouts.
Just not as much.
Kick off receptions and lineouts.
Top lineouts later on if you want.
Move on.
I know, moving on. The first game of the weekend was Glasgow on Friday night at home, and a good result, a good win. A wee bit tight at half time. Who wants to kick us off on that? Mike, you'll watch that closely. You dropped, from your national team point of view, a few boys went back out the national squad to play for Glasgow.
Yeah, we had a few going back. I think like you look at the end result and you think, I was comfortable with, Glasgow breezed through the game, but you look at it in a little bit more detail, and I think it was 17-14 to Zebre, kind of just going into half time. Then I think George Horn scored just before half time, and then Glasgow had a really good start to the second half and put them away. So at the start of the game, Glasgow were brilliant, absolutely fantastic. Weather conditions were difficult. The ball was dry, but plenty of wind, and they played some brilliant stuff. Barbarian style rugby, offloads all sticking, support lines excellent. But then there was just a period, wasn't there, where lost just a little bit control. Zebre had some possession. Glasgow didn't. I don't know.
Glasgow for me, the tries that Zebre scored, they didn't need to work all that hard for them. There was a stolen line out to 22, which then led to a line break at 13 when Glasgow just got their numbers wrong. So Glasgow, if they hadn't scored that try just prior to half time, would have been really disappointed. Even then, I suspected Dave Rennie read the riot act, but they went out in the second half and controlled the game.
It's just accuracy, wasn't it? Started so accurately, got the reward of the 14 points, and because the 14 came so quickly after what appears easy, but it's not. It appears easy because they've been so detailed and accurate what they did. And then I thought Zebre, I kind of disagree a wee bit with you, Alec. They dug in to get back into that game.
I thought that they tried just prior to half time. That was soft. Glasgow can't.
But Zebre had they could have given up as early as that because they were so far away in the opening 10-15 minutes. Yeah. But they dug in, they came back, and then when Glasgow went into the second half with a win behind, they played a more kind of balanced game, didn't they, and found their accuracy towards the end of the game and scored some wonder tries again.
I think it was like Zebre got on top a little bit because of the territory side of it. So, and they had a couple of easy ins into it from the territory side, whether it was ill discipline or a poor exit or something from Glasgow that gave them that opportunity to have the territory and then back it up with the tries.
Let me ask you this: a penalty try and a yellow card for you guys?
Which one?
And I'm having
the one that was given as a penalty try.
When George went through.
Yeah.
You two giving me a hard time about not watching rugby.
I was like, this idiot's got the wrong game. You're absolutely spot on.
We're not dumb the questions down for you guys. Right, George Horn makes a break, lovely off the training field move, and he's just about scoring around the corner. Full back comes across, catches him high, seatbelt tackle you would call it, and he goes into touch.
I always think these are harsh. We had one in the World Cup against Samoa, same kind of thing when Sean was going over and he got tackled high, seatbelt kind of tackle.
And that was a knee, wasn't it? That was knee
sliding. It was the knee sliding in, wasn't it?
Led with the knee, yeah.
I think it's pretty harsh. You've got you're penalised twice in a way. One, you get the 7 points and you go back, but then you get the yellow card as well. So the punishment for what was a seatbelt tackle, so not something dangerous, it did prevent a try from happening, but something like that can have massive ramifications on the result of a game.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the one that I would have got closest to, not the seatbelt tackle, cover tackle in the corner, which, Mike, by the way, I do remember that being a real strength. Your cover tackle one was probably one of your best qualities.
Oh, thanks, huh?
Yeah, no problem. It would be nice teacher. But it was a driving maul. So a driving maul, quite often you'll see somebody getting penalised for a driving maul if they pull it down, but there'll be a yellow card and a penalty try as well. So I tend to agree with you. I think that the double punishment is sometimes too much, but then maybe you've got to protect that area of the park.
I think you do. I think like it's a high tackle, he's stopping a certain try. It doesn't really give the referees much wriggle room because it is quite black and white. That I think it's right. I think in many ways, being selfish, I think George Horn would be raging. I think he would rather have the hat trick than a penalty try. You know what I mean? So you look at it like that.
He had a wee right smile on his face.
But he was sharp as well, though, George. Right, in terms of Michael, no better, but in and around the breakdown, getting the ball away. Not easy. It isn't easy. We've all been in that situation where you're with the national team and then you're dropping back into your club side in between the weeks. It's a difficult thing to do, just to understand the calls, the calling system, the getting up to speed. You haven't played a huge amount of game time, really. But he just absolutely flew into it, didn't he?
He was brilliant. You'd have been pleased, Mike, were you? Not just with George or the other guys. Matt Ferguson's obviously coming into the squad as well. Other players that dropped back.
Yeah, we're really pleased with George. He's trained really well with us. He was not unfortunately didn't get on against England. He maybe didn't want to get on in those conditions, but we didn't use him. We didn't feel it suited another guy coming on at that stage of the game. But he's gone back. The great thing about George is he just gets on with things. He was asked to go back to play for Glasgow and he was delighted, and he went back and he's engaged and he's involved, and he creates energy, and that's brilliant when you got guys doing that, guys who are wanting to play, and his performance reflected that. He wanted to be there. He played really well. Guys coming back, so Matt Ferguson, he's not played a huge amount of rugby in the last 6 or 7 weeks with his ban and then his injury, but he came back as if he'd been playing for the last couple of months, so really strong in the contact and didn't look like he'd had any rib issues at all. And
just a quick one on, I think George, 52 minutes sticks out in my mind, but it was around that mark, around the 50 minute mark that he came off. Jamie Dobby, how good? I mean, you've watched him and played and be training with him a little bit, have you? How big a future has he got?
Yeah, he's sitting at the moment in the potential category, isn't he? He's just out of school. I do a day a week out with Scotland training camps with the 9s at Glasgow and the 9s at Edinburgh, and he's got loads of potential. The thing now is he's got to get some game time. So whether that's in the Super 6 with Barmuir Bears, I think he is, or with Glasgow during the international window. So he needs that time in the pitch to learn his way, to improve his game management, to find the rhythm in his game. But at the moment he's sitting with a guy who's got a huge amount of potential, a really exciting player and a great defender as well. I remember the first game, I think it was his first game against Ulster in a pre-season game, and someone dived for the line and he actually held him up over the line, dragged him back over the line, and he didn't score. So those little touches of class are great to see in a young guy.
No, Glasgow overall will be pleased. No, don't expect you to comment too deeply on this, but Ollie Cable moving to tight head for the first time. He trained very well, and out now loose head, but the size and bulk of a tight head went in there and did exceptionally well. That will give Glasgow a little bit more strength and depth in a position where it's always key to have that strength and depth. But overall, Chris, you've got to think that Dave Rennie will be happy with the result in the game.
I think so. I think certainly the result, the 5 points, I think he'll be frustrated with the game. because of the kind of inaccuracies. But I think that's a good thing. If you're kind of disappointed in many ways with a 5-point victory at home, then the signs are good. The front row, Messu coming on and scoring a brace. His debut at hooker was pretty good. You see what the impact here with Ake's try was brilliant as well. So they're a dynamic front row, and Ollie Kebble moving across. There are lots of options. So I think Dave will be a bit frustrated. I think coaches are always frustrated at something, but they've got the opportunity to play the Dragons home 7:35 on Saturday night. So 2 home games in a row, and the opportunity to keep closing that gap in the Cheetahs who lost away at Leinster.
And they're important games now, aren't they? Yeah. I've had a look at the Cheetahs fixture list going into the last 7-8 games, and they played at 80% of them at home, and it's a really difficult place to go and play. They play against Kings twice, where they'd expect
they've played them twice already. They've got
one more to go. So they're gonna do well. They're going to get plenty of points in these last few games. So Glasgow have got to keep on stacking up those wins to give them a chance of getting into the top 3.
Absolutely. And talking of important wins, Edinburgh went down to Scarlets and drowned out a fantastic win in really difficult conditions. The one thing that stood out for me was their accuracy. They didn't get a huge amount of opportunities. Scarlets had an awful lot of chances, but when Edinburgh did, they took them. Matt Scott with a fantastic.
Yeah, it was conditions similar to the Scotland England game the week before. Not quite as severe, but the same idea really, where there wasn't really the opportunity to play much rugby at all. And Edinburgh played almost the perfect away from home game in poor conditions. Put all the pressure on Scarlets to try and force the game, to run the game. They kicked well. The chase, their kick chase is exceptional in Edinburgh, and it just forces mistakes. Their tries came, certainly the first try was a brilliant try from Van der Merwe, came from forcing Scarlets back and then scoring on the counter attack. And then that's not really the headline. The headline story for me was the defence.
Yeah.
Played away from home,
especially on their goal line. It was incredible.
Yeah. And that's it. That's first versus second. We said it last week. That's top versus first versus second in that conference. Really important win away from home for Edinburgh. Built on defence, built on an understanding of how to play the game in poor conditions away from home under pressure.
And I think they've put the foundations in this team for the last couple of years since Cockerell's come in. It started with the kicking game, the kick chase, the defence, and in conditions like that, those are the key things. So being able to go back to those foundations, they're adding on that with their attacking game, a little bit more expansive at times when they're getting the quick ball, but being able to go back to the foundations is great in conditions like that.
Yeah, when you're looking at that game and the amount of pressure that Scarlets had, especially in the last 5-10 metres, if you're a Scarlets fan, you could be disappointed that they didn't take their opportunities. But to your point, you would credit Edinburgh's defence because they were winning collision after collision, which just made it incredibly hard for Scarlets to do it.
And it's the usual, it's the same players, isn't it? But Bill Matter steps up every week in his offloads and his dexterity in attack, but the level of kind of accuracy and physicality brought in defence, it's inspirational for the team around them and in the system, working hard. And you're right, it's almost a game you could imagine, Richard Cockerell and the players being really, really proud of. First versus second, away from home, poor conditions. Those are the ones that kind of define your season a wee bit.
Bill Matters hit down the blind side. Can you remember who it was on? Did you see that? So the Scarlets broke down the blind side. There was a bit of interplay, and they were in a bit of space.
You used to hit like that.
Oh my goodness,
he got hit like that. Which year was that? France 2000 and...
Oh no, England when the Gum Shield came out.
I was at Ben Foden to the throat. Yeah. That was,
Remember that one, Mike?
No. You remember that?
I do.
I couldn't speak because he'd caught me in the throat, and the doc thought I was more seriously injured than I was.
And then the ball came towards you for a kick, and you caught it and ran back at it.
No, I caught it and I passed it in to somebody, and I still regret not dropping a goal. I'd never been in space like that in my life.
No, I was thinking, was it not the? It was Frank Haddon, so it must have been 2000 and.
Were you reminiscing about me getting put in my backside?
Yeah, was it not Frank? You made a few carries. They were good lines, but I think the defence just read it well. And was it not Frank said to you afterwards, Al, I admire the way you're stepping up to be a ball carrier there. I think you're more of a clearer though. So let the other guys do it, and then you can clear them out.
You're making things up.
I genuinely
I remember him saying,
of course you do. I think he saves you too. Right, Edinburgh. We were talking Edinburgh before Mike started giving me a hard time. So yes, Edinburgh going away. That was a massive win for them. Now it sets them up well.
They're at home to Connacht this weekend, Friday night, and it's another opportunity for Edinburgh to different pressure this week, more probably expectation depending on the weather, but yeah, as Mike said, they've added layers to the game and they'll be comfortable with that pressure. You know, whether it's playing away from home in bad conditions or whether it's playing at home when you're expected to win ultimately because you're playing at home, I think they can deal with that. And they play Connacht at home. Connacht are chasing kind of the playoff place as well, so it's an important one for them. So Friday night, see what happens, but you've got to think that Edinburgh will target that and try and get another good victory.
The crucial games, I think, as you said before, Scarlets against Edinburgh, so in the same conference. Edinburgh against Connacht, they're in the same conference. Like, these games are the really important games, so it enables you to create a little bit of gap between you. Like, Connacht are going well. They had a good win against Cardiff, wasn't it?
Yep. And they play Scarlets this week, which is third and fourth, and also Munster, who between Edinburgh and Scarlets play Zebre, I think, at home. So it's important for Edinburgh to underline, because you'd imagine Munster may win that against Zebre, so it's really important that Edinburgh, who I think they're 2 points clear of Munster at the moment, really keep the foot in the pedal.
Yeah, it's getting to the business end, isn't it? How the players come back, or how the teams are in when the players come back out of the Six Nations is massively important. But they're two good wins for both pro teams. Focusing more on Scotland, first and foremost, we talked about the players that have gone back. You've talked about how important that is, but everybody come back in good form and good fettle. And do you on a Monday, when you get those players back, change what you would do training wise to make sure they're right up to speed with the Scotland calls and the Scotland way of playing straight away?
Well, we had, how many did we have? I think we had 17 guys training with us in that fallow week, so weren't released back to their clubs. So there's a certain amount you can do with them. We did a Wednesday and Friday session last week. So the Wednesday was more of a flush session, a bit of ball handling, a bit of fun, getting the movement back in the legs. Then the Friday was a little bit harder work. Did some contact conditioning stuff, some wrestling, more game specific stuff. So when they all came back in, there's a certain amount of learning that you've got to do. So that was today. Monday's learning day. So the length of the sessions aren't long. There's a little bit of intensity, but not a huge amount. But it just means we can get a lot of the detail done. So when we move into the Tuesday session, the Thursday session, we can do everything in anger, and there's no learning. It's on the hoof, and everyone knows their roles.
How much of today is looking back at England, because it's the first time the squad will be all together, or is that dealt with already, or do you still look back before you look forward? So we were all in on Sunday night. There was a meeting on Sunday evening. So last night.
Last night. Sorry. So we put the England game to bed there, with a little bit of an eye on Italy within that. So things that we did the England game that need to be improved for the Italy game, and then from this morning everything moves onto the Italian game. So we started with a bit of defence stuff today, and then tomorrow will be more the attack. And the same will be true for the couple of new players added to the squad, and Matt Fagerson, Big Sam Skinner, I suppose off the back of Johnny Gray's injury, Sam coming in, but those guys as well, they need to get themselves up to speed pretty much straight away. Yeah, I think obviously Johnny's injury has an impact on the squad, but also the timing of these guys coming back. They're only just really available now for the Scotland squad selection. Matt had his rib injury and he was just back last week. He would have had a good chance being involved in that 23 for the first game against Ireland had the injury not come along. And Sam Skinner as well, who would have been in our World Cup squad, but for I think he was a hamstring injury at the time, which put him out for a long time as well. So not necessarily because of Johnny's injury, but these are guys that we'd like to have in our squad and deserve their place in the squad now they're back from injury. Good. Well, let's have a look ahead, Mike, to this weekend. What does the rest of the week look like? When will you finalise who's going to be taking that park and going from there? Probably be finalised over the next 12 hours or so. So going first thing tomorrow morning. Tomorrow will be a tough day for the players, so they'll have weights in the morning. We'll do some close quarter skills. So they come out of the gym, go straight into some close quarter skill work. So it could be ruck clear or ball carry or defence work just for 12-15 minutes, and then we'll have our session in the afternoon, which will be high intensity stuff, so putting the learning that we did today into practice tomorrow. Then we'll have Wednesday, it'll be off. Thursday we've just got a quick session in the morning, which will have more game realism to it, game speeds, and then Friday will be team run, and then we're into the game on Saturday.
What's the biggest threat from Italy?
Well, Italy have changed the way they play. They've got Franco Smith as their new head coach, so he was with the Cheetahs.
Yep.
And
he's attack-minded, isn't he?
He's attack-minded. He likes to hold on to the ball. They play with a lot of tempo. Probably a similar type of game that Scotland actually play. So that's something we've got to be really, really aware of. They've got 3 excellent back rows, big ball carriers with a lot of rugby about them. And then Minozzi in the wing, I think, is a class act. He's a real
wing or
danger.
fullback. I think Hayward at fullback and Minozzi in the wing.
I would have thought so.
Yeah. Because he's a talent, isn't he?
Oh, he's brilliant. He's a small guy with great feet, big offloader, and definitely a danger man for them.
I think it'll be interesting to see what we do. We won't ask Mike to comment too much on it, but there is the opportunity potentially to look at mixing things up and giving a few guys an opportunity. I look at scrum half and I look at Alec Price and George Horn and how close it must be selection wise between them. But there's another argument, Chris, that you keep the squad, keep the group as close as it's been to the previous games, and hopefully, ideally, go over there and put in a good performance and get a win.
Yeah, I'd probably ebb towards the second of those arguments in terms of, I think the performance in Ireland was on the whole pretty positive. The reason Scotland didn't win was was the mistakes I spoke about, and probably the discipline were the two things that jumped out for me. Then I do think the England game, as we said last week, it's a bit of an anomaly really with the weather. It was so erratic in terms of weather, and I don't think really we were far away either. I think continuity is important, but I also think, as you say, there's so little between the players that we have to change our mindset a wee bit as to, and I know it's hard because we would be exactly the same, but if you're in the squad and you're getting involved in the game, that's your role. So you might not start, but you might come off the bench and make a difference. And it used to be you'd always feel as if you were on the bench that you weren't as good, or you didn't feel as if you were second choice. But I generally think now there's so much depth in the squad in a number of positions. It's horses for courses, for use of a better phrase, where you put the right player at the right time, and the players who come off the bench are required and do make a big impact. But I do think in Six Nations, especially when you've had a down week, your continuity from weeks 1 and 2 are really quite important.
So let's look at that.
I was just going to say, just on the replacement stuff, or being part of the 23, I think part of that, the psychology of it, is why Eddie Jones calls his guys the finishers. It's not we want to call them the finishers, it's we don't want to call them replacements, because they're part of the squad. Now, John Manson, who's at All Glory now, he claims that he coined the finishers chat years ago. I don't know when you were involved with Glasgow that he called them the finishers.
Called me a lot. I don't think he ever called me a finisher.
You were never on the bench, Al.
But it is like Moss is spot on there. Like there are roles that players have got to play within the game. It's not replacements. It's guys coming on who've got a role that it might be that in the last 20 minutes a team fatigue. So you bring someone on who's going to raise the tempo, or it might be that they actually get better in the last 20 minutes and you want someone who's going to manage the game and kick it or do a line out that's...
So I was sitting here nodding my head, and I agree with both of you, but how difficult a message is that to get to the young lads, to the boys who are coming through, who all they want is that starting jersey? Is that not?
I don't think it's as hard a message to get the young lads as it is to the more experienced guys, because the younger players have grown up more with that. I think we grew up thinking if you didn't start you were second choice, which maybe was the case because there's potentially less depth then. But now I genuinely think young players, it's almost like it's happened from football for years, like you change your formation or you change your players. So your best players don't always play. You choose a formation and the individuals that's going to beat the opposition. And I do think the young players, I might be wrong, but they'll be a wee bit more accepting than some of the older guys. Or does everybody just get raging if they're on the bench?
I only began to accept it towards the end, and it was inevitable.
Because you were looking for
the squad at all.
Well, that's it. Yeah, it was good to be there. I mean,
2 weeks.
You must have been. There must have been times when it was difficult for Chris Custer to be starting ahead of you so many times. It must have got to the point you're like, at least give me a bit of a start.
I'm not even going to bite on that.
Anyway, we're moving ahead to the game. So you mentioned, it seems like a while ago now, about specific tactics for specific teams. What about Italy? What do we need to do well to beat them?
That's what I'm saying to Mike. I think you have to be, as always, you need to be really accurate. I think, the last kind of vision we've got of Italy is playing pretty well in the second half against France. Played quite an expansive game, quite a high risk game, coming off now and again. But that was when the game was beyond them. I don't think they'll start the game. I may be wrong. I know Franco Smith, as Mike says, is an attack-minded coach. They do like to add a bit more to the game, but I just think that at home, under pressure, it's their first game at home. The first 2 games of the Six Nations have been away from home. I think they'll be quite pragmatic, quite physical, and try and keep the ball close. So
that's good for us, isn't it? Though, I mean, when I looked at that France game,
either or,
it was so dangerous towards the end.
Yeah, but I don't think they're as accurate as they would need to be internationally, and I think that
especially at the beginning of a game,
that gives you a lot of opportunities to counterattack and wear it down. So I think they'll be quite direct. I think they'll be quite abrasive, and I think that whichever way suits the attack Scotland have to deal with, and I think you have to bring an element of physicality that was on a par in Ireland, and I think with that they'll be able to set a platform in order to play the balanced game, and I think, all being well, our accuracy and our skill execution would hopefully be good enough to get a win, which is really difficult away from home.
What's the latest? Sergio Parisi, are you expecting him to be on the bench?
I don't think so. I think he's going to be involved in the England game. That's the last I heard.
It's a funny one, that, isn't it? Like,
it's who's asked for it.
Yeah, I know. Like, I don't believe it. He's still a good player, isn't it? A world class player for as long as he's been around, really. But at the moment, I don't think he would start in merit ahead of Stain, Pelledri, Negri. I mean, they've got some brilliant back row players there.
But they're not necessarily talking about starting them. They're talking about putting them on the bench.
And there's an emotional response to it, absolutely. And a lot of the Italian performances are built on emotion, and they'll be, he's certainly still good enough to play or have an impact in a section of the game he plays.
But if it was you, let's say it wasn't your idea. Let's say the president comes to you, Dee Bradbury comes to you, and she says, Mossy, we want you involved in the last game. We want to give you a proper send-off. Would you do that?
I don't know. I genuinely don't.
I don't think I'd do it.
I feel guilty because I think the answer to that's no. I think it's so hard to do. But out of respect for, if I was still playing well enough, if I thought I was still able to start in that team, I would say yes.
Yeah, that's it. And I actually think
if I thought, these guys are playing better, I would say no.
Yeah, but I think I actually believe it's quite smart, because you take that emotional. He's a good enough player. To your point, he's definitely going to be able to have an impactful 20 minutes. But emotionally, does putting Sergio Parisi into whichever game they choose to, does it take them one step closer to winning a game? I believe it does.
Or does it disrupt a team that's already settled?
I
don't think so.
The
I think it will
mindset
have
of
an
the Italians, the way they play the game, I think it's a positive, and I actually involved them for the whole championship. No. But to pick a game and say, right, this is a game with everything he's done, I'd reckon you'd galvanise the team as well. Now, Mike, I can see you looking at your phone. You're getting nervous because I believe the suits are meant to be on the bus for going to Italy, and you're worried you're going to be in the aftermatch in your shorts and t-shirts. Is that right?
I was so pleased. Leave as a player and part of the management team now. I never remembered to do stuff that you're told to do. Bring your kit here at this time. And I always messed it up. And last night I remembered that we had to bring our number ones to go in the van to Italy, and I remembered it, and I was over the moon. And I've just got a message now that says the bus will be here for 10 more minutes, and that was 15 minutes ago. So thumbs up to me for remembering, and thumbs down to me for not getting it on.
So what's the worst? You're going to have to take your suit in your own bag. Is that where we're at?
Yeah, and that is shocking.
That is shocking.
I'll arrive there and I'll just crumple it into the bag, it's fine.
One fantastic initiative we have with Scottish Rugby is Royal Bank Rugby Force, Mike. In essence, Royal Bank are supporting our clubs, are getting out into the grassroots as much as possible. 96% of clubs in Scotland opt in to be part of Rugby Force. You have been involved over the years, both as a player and post, probably?
Yep, done both, and it's amazing. The thing that sticks with me is probably the volunteers that you have at the club who spend so much time don't get paid anything to do the work that they're doing to improve grassroots rugby, to improve the facilities that they've got at their clubs.
Now, Mike, as part of what we're doing with the Royal Bank, we have a few quick fire questions to throw your way, if that's okay.
Absolutely.
Right, don't take too much time thinking about it.
Okay.
Who's got the best changing room banter?
In the management team, me. There's not much to come up against.
If you could play any other position, what would it be?
Second row, because all you do is get lifted. Oh, that was back in your day. Now there are lots of dynamic duos.
No, but let's be realistic. Like one that you might have the skill set or the toughness to be able to play. No.
I quite
12.
I was going to say fullback.
Who's your rugby idol? Oh, this could be awkward.
What? Because you think it's you?
Oh, I don't know. Is it one of us?
No.
No,
you're old enough, Al. But who would my rugby idol be? Probably growing up, 1990 was a big year for Scottish rugby, and for me, I was 9. So you're at your most impressionable. So I was a scrum half back then. So Gary Armstrong would probably be my idol growing up. So it's quite cool playing against him when he signed back for the Borders in 2004. Would it be
3 or 4?
Yeah,
4.
Gary Armstrong.
Looking back to your community rugby, your time in the grassroots, Mike, what club did you play your rugby with?
I had a few different clubs. I started out with Edinburgh Wanderers mini rugby, and then Edinburgh Accies started off a mini rugby section, so moved there. And then Edinburgh Accies was my first senior club, and then Boroughmuir, and then professional after that. So had some great times at those clubs. Accies, I was travelling back from Durham University to play for them, and then Boroughmuir was that kind of big step or opportunity that put me in the shop window for the professional rugby stuff. So lots to be grateful for.
Do you ever have any pre-game rituals?
Not really ritual. I was going to say
I was going to
mention
12 hours before the game.
Well, I didn't eat because I was sick. So
if I'd
eaten, then I'd be more sick. But like I started off with weird things when I was younger. Like I'd always want spaghetti bolognese, but then the one time that you don't have spaghetti bolognese, you realise it makes absolutely no difference to your game whatsoever. So you just eat whatever you've got in the fridge.
Who took you to training and matches? Did your father drive you around, or were you sharing lifts? How did that work?
Yeah, I think it's probably one of the most talked about things with kids growing up, isn't it? And looking back in their childhood, and now I've got 2 young kids myself, and I realise the amount of time you have to put into taxiing them around the place with the rugby, with the football. You're off all over the place. It takes up your whole weekend. So looking back, the amount of driving that my parents did for me to allow me to play in competitions all over the place is something you're really thankful for.
Talking about your own kids, or looking wider than that, what would your advice be to young kids looking to take up the game?
I think that the main positive about rugby is the team element to it. So the camaraderie, the time that you spend with each other on the pitch. Also the fact that it's a game for all shapes and sizes, so everyone can get something out of the game.
Well, Mike, thank you very much for your time. I know you're a very busy man this week. Best of luck at the weekend. I'm sure it's going to be a fantastic test match.
Cheers, guys.
Thanks, Mike.
Good to have Mike in as always.
It is, isn't it? He's lively, he's good company, but he's also a really astute rugby brain. Like he does watch a lot of rugby. He understands.
And he says you watch more rugby than him. That's not. He watches an incredible amount of rugby.
He knows his stuff. Always can he continue to try to evolve as a coach and try to help players evolve in terms of certainly attacking play, where it be what to look at. Little bits of the game that he picks out that have a big impact, whether it was when he's coaching with Glasgow or now coaching with the national team, and he's good with the young players he works with as well. So certainly a dedicated coach, but with a real keen eye for detail.
To look at some of the other rugby that was played over the weekend, did you take in, unfortunately we had a cancellation in the Fosrock Super 6,
Yeah.
which managed to take in any other games?
I've not seen much of it so far. Obviously Friday night was the Watsonians Hereds game. Watsonians came out in top 24-21. That was a top of the table clash, so Watsonians topped the table. The Southern Knights got another win, 31-10 at home on Sunday against Stirling, so they've really hit form and climbed right up there now in 3rd position. And the game, as you say, between Boroughmuir Bears and Ayrshire Bulls was postponed to Waterloo pitch on Saturday, so that's still to be played. And then other than that, there's only one round of fixtures left, so the top 4 at the moment: Watsonians, Herets, Knights and Bulls. So the Bulls are 4th on 23 points, and then 5th Stirling and 13, and the Bears are 9. So it looks like it is the the top 4 who are decided in which order in terms of playoffs. So we'll see after the final round of fixtures on I think it's the 28th of February. So not this week, but the next game week. But yeah, I think that the big thing for me is the form of the night really turning around from before Christmas, having I think 0 from 4, or 0 from 3 certainly, really coming through, and getting up to 3rd in the table. So it'll be interesting to see how the final run goes in a couple of weeks.
Well, I'm sure we'll have a deeper dive into it probably the week of the final, but it seems so far to have been a great success, given an opportunity for, we've talked about the amount of young players who are now getting a chance to play at that slightly higher level, and the games all seem very competitive.
Well, it is competitive, and it's hard, and there's knockout rugby thereafter. There's the playoffs are the weekend 21st, 22nd of March, and then the following week's the final, and that's at Scotstoun,
which is it's brilliant as well. Bit of a showcase there, to try and get the fans packed in for that game.
Yep, and it's tough rugby. It's the defences have been pretty good, I think, initially, and then the attack has caught up. It's, we said before, it's easier, I think, to get your defence right. It's a structure that you just stick to regardless of what the opposition do. It's harder for the attack to come up with creative ways of breaking it down. But I think in terms of the first hit out, the first round of sort of 8 or 9 games, it's been really good. And
another game that happened over the weekend, and John Manson Pumps will be looking to come back on every week. I mean,
big win,
like incredible win against the 2-time champions.
Yeah, it's Old Glory we're on about. The team in Washington, they came out 28-22 victors over Seattle Seawolves, who were they said last year's champions. I mean, champions twice in the last 3 years. Old Glory are obviously a brand new team. 28-22, they were 22-16 down going to the last 20 minutes and came through. There's over 3,000 people watching for a new start-up. John spoke about last week, people just getting engaged and getting involved. And I did look online, and they had their experts, or the panel of experts or pundits beforehand, choosing the winner of each of the fixtures throughout the MLR fixture list that week, and 0 of the 7 predicted an Old Glory win. So they'll be pretty happy with that. I say underdogs, but good win, and good to see, second weekend getting that. And their second game ever in existence, getting a win against the last year's champions.
No, it won't be one for you, Mossy, because I know what you think of social media. But if you give Old Glory a follow on Twitter, whoever is doing the punditry at that side is very entertaining, slightly different and very entertaining. I won't say any more, but certainly go back and have a look through that feed. But yeah, congratulations to Old Glory and John Manson in particular, who obviously we had on last week.
Made a difference.
He must have made a difference, absolutely.
And we've got obviously this weekend the international Guinness Six Nations, Scotland and Rome, but obviously the under-20s are on Friday night in Italy at 6pm kickoff, and then the women on Sunday at 4pm. So tough games. Both the Italian women and Italian 20s are strong. The under-20 side won away in Wales in the opening weekend, and narrowly lost in France in their second weekend after being 19-12 up or so at half time. So the under-20s, our under-20s will have to improve on their performances so far, especially away from home. And the Italian women are pretty good. They're pretty sharp. They've been good over the last 2 or 3 years ago. It was always nip and tuck, but they've kind of pulled away a little bit over the last 2-3 seasons, and it'll be another big challenge for the women on Sunday.
Well, we've got more than just the players and the national teams represented this weekend, Chris.
Yeah, Hollie Davidson's refereeing international this weekend, England versus Ireland in the Six Nations. Hollie's done really well. She's really reaching the top now. I say it's a massive international, England, Ireland, Six Nations, and she's had a difficult story. She was a female player, obviously, and then suffered a couple of injuries and decided to turn her hand to refereeing, and she's been doing that pretty well indeed.
It is a brilliant story, as you say, and we did get the opportunity to speak to Hollie and find out a little bit more about her journey.
My first rugby memory is playing in a competition in Perth, 14 years old, and wearing the old yellow cotton shirts. Broke my pinky. Mum didn't believe me. She just threw me back on the pitch and said, get on with it. I played for a Boyne, that's who I started with. We got here to Murrayfield for Youth Cup finals, and then after a Boyne I came to Edinburgh University, played there for my 4 years. I was playing at Edinburgh Uni, and I was very new coming back to the sport. I'd only really been playing for a year and a bit before I kind of tried out for the 20s, so I didn't really expect anything. Kind of turned up, gave it my best shot, but this was sort of Scotland under-20s, so I was like, oh, I'm not going to be the chance. And then I got an email from our coach at the time saying, you know, you've been selected, congratulations, here's the training dates. And I was absolutely over the moon. It was a great achievement. It was the first kind of like step on and into a higher level of rugby that I'd experienced, so it was fantastic. The Scotland setup used to do games called Scotland Select Games, so the kind of top 30 girls would train and play against one another on a Friday evening, and that gave the national coaches exposure to the players who they wanted to pick for their squads. I started playing in those fixtures, and then I was invited along to a summer training camp at Strathallan. Karen Finlay was the coach at the time, and I think I was maybe 19 going on 20, and it was one of the hardest training experiences of my life. They got the army in, and it was brutal. It was so intense and so difficult. And then after that I was invited along to training camps, named on the bench to get my first cap against the Netherlands. We had a Scotland Select training game the Friday prior to flying out on the Monday, so everything had kind of gone to media. It got announced that, you know, I was on the bench and I was about to get my first kind of full senior cap, and played in a training game and just scored a try. Everything was kind of going really well, and then I got a stinger on the shoulder, and I got a phone call on the Sunday from the coach saying, you know what, Hollie, it's too much of a risk for us to take you out to play the Dutch, and yeah, we're going to have to pull you from the squad. I didn't at the time think it would sort of end my career. I was still probably 19, so very young in the setup, but I was absolutely gutted. Obviously, when you get announced that you're going to make your first cap, it's the biggest thing in any kind of player's career. It's what you strive to achieve, is to get that full international cap. And so when I got that phone call on the Sunday, it was really difficult to take. And again, probably being 19, you think that's going to be the be-all and end-all, and looking back now, it wasn't. But I was so upset. It was like my dreams had just sort of like fallen down around me, and I took it really hard. The referee courses were always on a Sunday, and I'd asked Scottish Rugby, if possible, could we put a session on a Saturday, because if you played in the Women's Premiership, which was a Sunday, you could never attend any of the courses. So they put a course on the Saturday, went along, and I actually really enjoyed it, from watching the Women's Six Nations and, you know, international tests, and there wasn't that many female officials around. So from there, decided to know, you know, let's try this out. And Bob Easton, who was my coach, he said, you know, you could go somewhere with this if you wanted to invest the time. So I said, yeah, why not? Let's give it a crack. I had all the mouth of, oh, you know, this is really easy, and then I started refereeing, and it's not that easy. After I got some more games under my belt and I was still enjoying it, Scottish Rugby gave me opportunities to go out and try some sevens competitions and do games here domestically. So from there, I kind of kicked on and I was enjoying it more, and then at no point did I ever think that this would become my job. But when I was offered the contract, I absolutely snapped it up. The more that we can encourage people that have picked up injuries through playing, or they've come to the end of their career, that, you know, want to try something different and can give something back to the game, that can only improve the game. You've got better match officials, you've then got a better game, a better product for people that want to be involved in it. Travelling the world's amazing. We get to go to some of the best places and experience different cuisines, different cultures, meet new people. So it's fantastic, but it can be tiring, and at times you get to see lots of airports, lots of hotel rooms, lots of solo meals, but you get to live the dream on the other half of that. So yeah, I wouldn't change it.
That's us for another week then, Al. Mike in, obviously, one or two things looking ahead to this weekend in Italy. But we'll be back next week to get over the bones of it.
have a look at the games at the weekend. As we say, lots and lots on. A big thank you to Mike Blair for coming in, and a big thank you to everybody out there for listening. Don't forget, the application window for the Royal Bank Rugby Force is now open. To burn with a chance to win practical and financial support to kickstart your club's season, search Royal Bank Rugby Force.